Welcome everybody to For Wild Places 21st trail chat, and actually the first trail chat of 2024. Still feels weird saying that, but that's the go.
Nice.
So welcome, thanks for everyone for coming. My name is Will. My pronouns are he, him. I'm based on beautiful Dharawal land, which is south of Sydney. I'm in Port Kembla in this lovely Illawarra, got the lovely escarpment to run around in. And these trail chats are supported by Smart Wool. If you haven't checked out Smart Wool, check them out, smartwool.com. Thanks to those guys for supporting these chats. For Wild Places is a group of activist runners with a purpose, to use our love for trails as a tool to make a difference, to protect our planet and its wild places. So if that sounds like you, check us out and join up today. We organise these chats every month, and we have a yarn with special guests about running, about life, about sports activism, about whatever we feel like it on the day. And we're stoked this month to bring a very special guest that for plenty of you won't need an intro. But our guest is based on, and I may need to be corrected on this pronunciation, sorry, but our guest is based on Gumbaynggirr country.
Gumbaynggirr.
There we go. Correct.
Gumbaynggirr country. Yep, that's it. Pretty
Beautiful.
good.
He's an adventure photographer, and I think you've already got a preview of his face, so my surprise is ruined, but I'll just keep going. Adventure photographer. Captured some of Australia's biggest ultra marathons, including Heysen Trail, Ultra Trail Australia, Westmac Monster, the Buffalo Stampede. He's also a keen road runner and trail runner. Massive thanks for being with us today. Welcome, Calumn.
Thank you very much. Stoked to be here. Stoked to have a yarn with Wild Places.
Brilliant. Now, my first question is a bit embarrassing. I'm just gonna jump in.
All good.
The bio you sent me, at the end of the bio, it says, when he's not behind his camera, he can be found taking precious crowns. Now, I didn't know what that meant, but I felt, but I didn't want to check because I felt a bit stupid, but I'm just going to put myself out there now. What is taking precious crowns?
Well, so I only really got back into running probably 16 months ago, and I came across Strava as a way to document my runs and see how much I'm doing. And then there was this little feature down the bottom called crowns or something like that. And I'm just like, oh, this is pretty interesting. I'm like, and then everyone had the list of times and everything of where they've run and how fast they've done it. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't really want to compete as a runner, but I want to try and sneak a few of these PBs in my own country here. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to go and run as fast as I can and get a collection of crowns. And so do that every now and then. So that's quite fun.
Oh, that's brilliant. I thought it must have been some like insane, like some lingo of a photographer, but it's the good old Strava crowns. Love it.
Yeah, man. Love a good Strava crown. Every time I see a good one or someone takes my crown, I go and take it back. Yeah, so that's quite good.
Awesome. Now, folks, today's chat's going to be a bit different, but in a good way, because we've got the visual format. We're going to make the most of that, and Calumn has shared with us a few photos which we're going to talk through. But we want to dedicate most of the chat to checking out those photos because they're spectacular. But just before we get to those pickies, Cal, can you just tell us how what got you into photography, and then more specifically adventure photography in the first place? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so adventure photography's kind of been always ingrained in my soul. Like I started off, with a nice little Hero 3 GoPro back in the day. That was my first like real action camera. And that was, I took that to Uluru for my first trip, like to the Red Centre, and I just love the idea of having a GoPro, and I was like literally just taking selfies everywhere and doing all that sort of stuff. And then I got on the GoPro bandwagon quite back in the day and did some quite adventurous stuff around Australia and New Zealand, and even went over to Nepal. And yeah, I just love the idea of taking photos of in adventurous places. So it kind of started with that, and then COVID happened, and then everything kind of slowed right down. And then my whole aspect of photography changed because I was doing a lot of tourism related stuff. And next minute I know, I'm ringing up a race director in Alice Springs about a race out west, and I'm like, hey, can I come and shoot this ultra marathon? And yeah, so that was a year after COVID. And next minute I'm shooting ultras all over Australia. So yeah, not a path I probably intended to go down, but yeah, no, it's just been quite an adventure so far.
Yeah, nice. I was going to ask that because I didn't get to catch you at our For Wild Places camp last year, and I'm only just getting familiar with your work now. But I was going to ask whether the shots you've taken, are you just getting out there yourself, or was it were you on the crew like as part of the event? I mean, you kind of answered the question there, but what's your norm?
Yeah, so I usually get out and well down at Hotham, that was kind of like Hill had arranged me to come down and capture that whole event, so that was kind of cool. I was out there shooting bit of video, bit of photos, and just pretty much in awe the whole time of how special it is up in that country. I was just watching a Bo Miles YouTube thing of him running through that country down there, and I'm just like, such good memories of how special it was down the street at that camp. Yeah, so as a freelance photographer, I'm pretty much just emailing every race in Australia trying to get work. So that's kind of how it happens. Most of the time it's a no. About 10% of the time it's a yes. So yeah, just take it as it comes.
Yeah, nice. Well, look, let's get stuck in because I know people are keen to have a look at some of the work. I think we got 6 photos that Cal sent us. Oh wow. So Cal has sent us a bit of a mix of just adventure and running pickies, but also a bit of sports activism. So we'll just go through them one by one.
Nice.
I might just follow your lead, Cal, in terms of how we should talk about this. But talk us through this one.
Yeah, so this was one of my most recent shots. So this was part of God Zone Australia. And basically it's a big 1 week long adventure race. And this is pretty much a shot I took where you hike in, and then in order to start hiking again, you've got to do this big 65-meter abseil. So there's no other way around but to go down this abseil next to a waterfall. So everyone on the God Zone teams, the teams of 4, had to abseil down this massive drop, and it was just spectacular. Massive waterfall, and they're just dangling in midair. So I thought I'd get down to the bottom, get my fisheye lens out, which was like super wide, and actually captured one of my mates who was competing. And yeah, next minute they're just like coming straight down above me, and there was a case of where some guy got flipped upside down during it, so that was pretty gnarly. Unfortunately I didn't capture that, but yeah, this was my hands were sweating just looking at this, like just looking over the edge and getting all these different angles and stuff. It was that was pretty spectacular, and like getting to this spot was not easy. Like I nearly got my car stuck on the river above it. There was this big boulder just in the middle of the creek, and I got lost like 4 times getting to this location. So I'm just going to drive my car over this little sketchy bit of water, and there's a boulder in the middle of the creek, and I nearly got stuck on it. So I pretty much just floored it, went over, got to the other side, and just like, yep, righto. That was good. Didn't because if I lost my car there, I'd literally be like 5 days walking to the nearest town. So yeah, so the photos from this place actually paid off quite well, considering how many times I got lost.
So like you've come down there, that guy's coming down after you.
Yeah, pretty much. So I have done one in Kanani and in Nipaluna, and that was probably like 2 years before. And then I came across this again, and then I'm just like, no, I'm not actually. I'm pretty terrified to be on ropes. I'm gonna find my way around and get down to the bottom and not abseil. So So yeah, it could have been me, the one that was flipped upside down. So yeah, thankfully, I'm a bit of a mountain goat, so I'll just crawl around the outside and make my way down.
The framing, I don't know photography lingo, but the framing on this is like, it's mostly dark. It's
Yeah.
just beautiful with all the tree canopy around.
Yeah, so I like to shoot a lot of monochrome stuff. So the sky in the background was pretty like really light and bright. So, you know, if a photo's like that, I'll just turn them into black and white, and I don't know, it just adds another bit of feel to the photo. And I just love the silhouette of my mate just hanging up there and making his way down, just that little speck, and then there's just this massive landscape. Just shows how tiny humans are in nature. It's just, yeah, one of the coolest shots that I've taken recently. That's pretty special.
And hey, I might just let people know there's a few participants on the call, but I think if it's okay with everyone, just like we'll go through the photos one by one. If you've got any questions for Calumn, just jump in. If you're having trouble getting your voice in, chuck a little question or a little hand up either in the chat, or stick your hand up, and I'll try to keep track and give you the call, because yeah, rather than wait till the very end, we might as well make this a bit more interactive. But yeah, we'll keep going now. Hill, I think you went on to that next one. I love this one, that ridge line far out. Where's this, Carl?
Yeah, so this was probably 2 years ago, along the Heysen Trail. So there was a group of 4 guys attempting to run the Heysen Trail from north to south in under 12 days. So that's 1,200 kilometers. So they had to average about 100 Ks a day to get their fastest known time. So yeah, I got a call from a mate who wanted me to come and document this whole adventure, and it was literally like the most beautiful part of Australia that I've ever seen. But at the same time, it was just so damn cold and windy. Like a South Australian winter is just horrible, but it's when the sun came out, it was just like, it was pretty good. But this location, I actually kind of forget, it was like about halfway along the trail, and in order to get to the location to take this photo, I went with one of the other guys who had a car, and we literally were going at like 45 degrees up this Spinifex mountain, and it was terrifying. Like, I thought the car was just going to fall off the cliff. So these guys are like making their way up to us, and then we're on this mountain just across from it. But this location was just like, just absolutely insane, and it was very cold. Like I think I'm still cold from this experience 2 years ago. I don't want to go back to South Australia in the winter, but yeah, no, I was just like admiring like the big Spinifex and all these big gums and everything in this country, and then I just see these 4 little people making their way up this ridgeline, and I'm pretty sure they would have been 70 Ks in for the day, quite cooked, a lot of blisters, and pretty cold. So yeah, no, this is one of my favorite shots from that whole expedition. And the 4 guys, so 3 of them finished, 1 of them pulled out, but they end up getting the fastest known time. So they end up finishing in probably 11 days, which was quite amazing to see, considering how gnarly the Flinders are. And the whole of the Heysen, it's not very runnable. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I love the way it looks like that. It looks like that ridge has been ruled, like it's so straight, and then you got those beautiful trees going up in the other direction. That is what
Oh, indeed, everything it's just so magical. And this was probably just after sunrise as well, so getting that nice morning light. And I literally just didn't know where to take a photo. I'm just like, wow, I was just in awe of everywhere. And then I just saw this moment, and that was pretty special to see.
So how far away have you had to zoom much?
Yeah, I had a zoom lens, so a 70 to 300. So I was kind of I was quite far away. It's probably, I don't know, 2 kilometers as the crow flies away from this photo. and then they kind of got to the top of that, and they went down again, then came back up to us. So quite a bit of climbing for them. Very rugged country out there.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Anything? Oh no, I thought that was right in the middle there. I thought that was a dead tree, but it's not. Anyway, just a little detail.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that was cool. That was probably one of my favorite adventures to go on, this one. Like, yeah, anytime you're doing an expedition shoot, like I haven't done many of them, but like there's just, you never know what's going to happen or what's going to appear. So
yeah.
yeah, I ended up making a 26-minute long film on this, and that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Unfortunately, not many people got to see the film, but yeah, it was quite special to film it for the boys and the support crews that did it.
Oh man, I'd love to see that. We'd love to see that. If it's publicly
Yeah, it's on
available.
YouTube. Oh,
Yeah, cool. We should put a link to it on our YouTube.
yeah, so easy, I can do that. Not a
Cal,
problem.
Hillary's just asked, can you tell it's a special photo when you take it, or is it not until you're looking at them on a laptop that you know you've nailed it?
I don't know. I get a feeling if I've taken a good photo, like kind of like Spider-Man sense, when you get you can kind of feel when you're taking it, but it's not until, I don't know, you can take a photo and then look back at it multiple times, and it'll kind of go over your head, but then you look at it again, it's like, actually, no, that all looks pretty cool. So like I've got photos from like a few years ago that look average, but you kind of grow on it, and you see it and it looks pretty cool. So yeah, I never, a lot of people like to delete their photos and stuff after they've taken them, but I like to save them because you never know if there's a good one in there.
Awesome. Can we go to the next one, Hill? Hey, here we got a bit of sports activism hooked in, I assume. Bit depressing, but at the same time, some amazing people there. Well, no, sorry, I should leave it to you.
No, all good, all good. Yeah, so this was down in Sakina in Tasmania, and this was the first conservation shoot that I ever got to go on, and with fellow photographer Paul Hilton, who's up in the Sunshine Coast, and so I got to spend 10 days down in Tassie, and I got to meet Bob Brown and spend a day with Bob Brown, which was like the coolest thing ever. And got to head out to one of the camps out near Rosebery, which is kind of like deep within Takina up on the west coast. And yeah, so we went out and we were actually meant to be filming, and so Paul was like back here with his camera, like trying to get a long shot of the activists in the tree. And then I was like flying my drone around. Like a lot of people ask how I took this photo, and they're like, "Oh, we're up in the tree." I'm like, I wish I was up in the tree. Like I wish I was good with ropes. Something probably down the track I probably should be able to do. Hopefully do. But at this time I had my drone, and I was flying around this big eucalyptus obliqua. So it was like 50 meters tall, and that's massive. And that's even a small tree in Tassie. Like you get trees in Tassie that are 100 meters. So this was still pretty special. And these activists are on their way up to a tree sit, and they're standing on a burl, which is like a big growth that just forms on the side of the tree. So there could have been a branch there or something before, and it's fallen off, and then this big thing's just like formed over the top. So they're on their way, climbing up to the top, having a rest. And yeah, I snapped this photo with my drone, and I nearly got my drone stuck in this branch up the top. Like I had to have a spotter like watching me where I was flying too close. So that could have ended in disaster, one of many times with my drone. So yeah, and I snapped this one, and next minute I really didn't have any intentions to do much with this photo, but I entered it into Wildlife Photographer of the Year, 58, which was 2 years ago. And I never entered this competition before. I had a book I'd read from it, an old book, and I saw the photos and it looked pretty special, and I entered this. And yeah, next minute I know it made the top 100 in the world and one of the best photojournalist photos in the world for that year. So that was pretty special. And Took me a bit of convincing to get my butt over to London for the
Oh,
award
wow.
ceremony, because it's quite a way to go to London. But yeah, so I thought, this is the wildlife photographer of the year. So yeah, no, I went over for that and had to wear a tuxedo, had a little black tie and everything, and got to meet all these Nat Geo photographers and everything. And then there's little old me in some shiny shoes and a bow tie. It's pretty cool. But like just hats off to the people who, especially the mob down in Tassie, who are defending the country down there. It's just like, I can take a photo, but these guys are out here like defending the forest and stopping these big trees from getting cut down. So yeah, so much admiration for the two in the photo and everyone on the ground, holding the fort and keeping out forestry. Yeah, they're
Absolutely.
amazing people.
Elise says powerful. Akana says congrats, so good. One thing I love about this photo is often photos of kind of forest protectors are from like you're looking up to them, and you don't get a sense of the scale or the height. And this photo almost gives you a bit of vertigo. It gives you an idea of just the physical courage, well, physical and mental courage, just the courage of what these people are doing to protect our forests is incredible. Yeah, I love the angle. It really shows what a full-on thing it is to be doing this.
Oh yeah, it's like I've got a few other angles of this photo and this situation, but this one is just like, it's like these guys have got in here and stopped. Like, I mean, there's a lot of destruction on the ground, but at the same time, they've got in there not too late, but at the right time, and stopped any further destruction. And it's just like the kind of that bird's eye view of what they would be seeing and what a bird would be seeing. It's something quite unique.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can see like there's another line of trees just behind. Do you know anything more specific about this individual thing? Like did logging have to halt for a while, or do you know?
So beyond this tree line, it just goes on and on and on. But unfortunately, there's a really big tailings dam, which is like a toxic tailings dam for a big gold mine. So that's another really terrible thing. It's like a whole nother story. And there's like a few things going on here. Like the Bob Brown Foundation wanted to stop deforestation, and they had to stop this mine from being another mine being established. So it's like it was pretty full on. It was like I'm not sure of the exact details. It was over 500 days or so where they were holding fort. And it ended up being about 90 arrests. The camp got shut down, raided multiple times by police. And that went on for a long time. And then the Bob Brown Foundation ended up moving further into the bush to a more secure location. So I'm not too sure if that camp's still there right now, because I haven't been down there in about a year. But so at the moment the Bob Brown Foundation is trying to stop another really big tailings dam from being put in further down, because the mine has already filled up all this toxic sludge and everything into the current one, and they need to build another one, and it's meant to be even bigger. So and they need to destroy all these big beech forests and everything just beyond this tree line in order to put it in, and it would just be an absolute environmental catastrophe. So there hasn't been a decision on whether it's going to be made yet. So that's down to the environmental minister, but it's a wait and see game from now on.
Yeah, right. Well, congrats on the photo, and it's awesome that you have really helped bring attention to what's going on there. I might also just take a second to plug the Takina Ultra is next month. We got For Wild Places members heading down to take part. I'm sure folks here would know about it, but if you're not heading down to participate, make sure you jump on Raisley and support people who are running down there to save Takina. All right. Next, looks like we're heading up to Kosciuszko. That is beautiful, Cal. Talk us through this.
Yeah, this was I'd never been to Kosci before until this. So this was part of so I shot UTA, and then they also signed me up to shoot UTK, which is Ultra Trail Kosciuszko, and yeah, down into the high country, and it was just like everywhere you look was just absolutely magnificent. And so yeah, it was like a 3-day shoot, and there was a lot of trails, a lot of like, as you can see, like these big rivers of just like freezing water and like tussocks and everything. It was so incredible to see. So I literally didn't know where to take photos. Like I had to take photos of everything, but it's just like, wow, everything looks so good here. And then I got my trusty drone out again and snapped this shot. I think it's probably one of my favorite shots from UTK, of just these two trail runners, probably on one of the 100Ks events, just going on this nice meander past this river. I think it's near Threadbow. So yeah, this is quite special to see. And what's really funny is that once again, it was freezing, but they didn't really predict the snow, that there was any snow coming. So at the start line of the 100 miler, it absolutely bucketed with snow, and it was snow everywhere. So there had to be all these course changes and everything, and everyone was just huddled into this room up at Perisher, and it was like a few thousand people just cramped in, and they didn't want to go outside and start this event. And it was probably like, it would have been -10, freezing, and -10 in summer, which is crazy in Australia. It hadn't been heard of like snowing down that way in summer, and it did. Like that whole morning it snowed, and then by lunchtime, yeah, it cleared up. And yeah, I'm just in awe of the location down here. So, and yeah, this one definitely stood out for me. Down in Kosci, so beautiful. You guys are pretty lucky. I mean, Hillary's down that way, and she gets to see this kind of country all the time. And yeah, definitely jealous of those people who got to run this course.
Elise says she did it this year. Such beautiful terrain. Feel free to chuck in your thoughts there, Elise. That looks spectacular. I love that you can see the diversity of the plant life there too, with the grasses, and I assume they're mainly shrubs there, doesn't it?
Yeah, very shrubby. And then you move up into the hills, and there's all these snow gums, and then you get to the top up near Kosciuszko, and then it's just like all these tussocks and everything. And yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. Like, yeah, I can't believe I hadn't been there before. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go back recently, but you know, yeah, it's just probably one of the most unique courses we have in Australia to run. And it's kind of funny for me, like, you know, I love running, but I've also got to take photos to make money, but I also want to run it at the same time. So it's just like, what do I do? So, but I prefer to run without 1,000 people. That's kind of me. Yeah.
And just an excuse to go back.
Indeed. Yeah.
Now,
sure.
Now this one, oh sorry, that Kosci one, back on that Kosci one hill, that's obviously a drone one again.
Yeah.
What's the go with drones? You'd obviously put your own camera on a drone, would you?
No. So you can buy a drone these days, or every drone you pretty much buy comes with a little camera on board.
You'd want
little gimbal that, you know, you can angle it and everything you want. But you can get bigger cameras, where you can put your own camera on. But you know, you're going to spend 20 grand doing that. But these days you can get like a good drone for $1,200 onwards. So yeah.
And the camera, you know, I don't know the speckies on cameras, but again, the cameras are obviously good enough for your work. Like,
yeah, I mean, like I can do like a 48 megapixel photo, which is like quite big. So like I can get all the detail and everything. So yeah, no, it's a very handy tool. It's probably 60% of my work is drone. So yeah, very handy tool. Even if you crash it into trees and stuff and you mend it, and yeah, it's been through a fair bit. There's another story for another day, is yeah, getting it stuck up a tree and getting an arborist out to rescue it. So and then breaking the side of it, and oh mate, that's just camera gear. It's just another tool, really.
Yeah.
Just another tool for the work. So
Do you do any touching up? Do you alter anything afterwards?
I don't like to as much. Like I'll do a little bit of like contrast and maybe texture and just like getting rid of highlights and stuff, like very minimal. With my style of photography, I don't like to have scenes that are too saturated, like too much color and that sort of stuff. So less is better. Yeah, the less time you spend editing a photo, the better. Like you just try to take take a good photo like as it is, and then try not to edit it. Doesn't make that much sense, but like try not to edit it too much in post. Just you want to keep it as real as possible. I just see very oversaturated photos and fake kind of looking styles. So it's like, yeah, less touching up the better.
Oh, and the places this picture right here, it's so beautiful. There's no need for a touch up.
No, not at all. No. Yeah. It's special scenery down there for sure.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Hill. I made you go backwards. Here we go. We're back on. Well, I was going to say we're back on the ground, but it actually looks like we're on the ground, but we're very high up. Where is this? The mountains?
This
is Blue Mountains?
This is Blue Mountains. Yeah. Actually, that was reminded me of what I needed to Google was the name of this bridge. It has a specific name. So this is during Ultra Trail Australia UTA, the men's 50K. It was one of the most exciting 50K races I've probably ever seen, and I got to photograph it. So again, I shot this. Originally, it was in color, but I turned it to black and white because it looked a lot cooler. So there was a group of like 3 guys, like absolutely going all out, like 4-minute kilometers during the 50K, which is just like absolutely crazy. Yeah. There's a fair bit of elevation gain for the 50K. And I thought I'd get to this little bridge and snap the runners as they come across. So this guy was actually leading Iron Explorer. You can find him on Instagram. He's a pretty cool fella. And then behind him is a local Ronnie Sparks. And then not far behind him is Benny St. Lawrence. So a couple of Sydney folk down that way at the UTA. And it was just an absolute crazy. Like these 3 guys were like neck and neck for 50 kilometers. And I thought I'd get down with my wide angle and snap this shot of this guy coming across the bridge and then Ronnie Sparks in pursuit. And I kind of know Benny St. Lawrence from previous years. And I asked him how he was, and he just like looked at me like, I think they were at the turnaround point, so they're at least like 25 Ks in, and he was absolutely cooked. Like he hadn't run more than a marathon before. So for him to do a 50K, it was pretty brutal. And Benny St. Lawrence ended up winning his first 50K. And it's a pretty amazing thing to do. And I got an after shot of Benny just like absolutely passed out on the ground at the finish line. So pretty brutal. Like if you can do like 50Ks and average like 4-minute Ks and less, pretty amazing things you see on those races. And this was one of the moments.
Absolutely. This one, I think this one, it captures the beauty of some of these areas, but also the pain on his face.
I can imagine how it would be feeling, like absolutely cooked. And that's just the 50K. And I mean, there were some people doing the 100K. I just don't know how people can do that sort of stuff. So sometimes it is good to be just taking photos, not running.
Is that, I don't know that course. Is it very technical in parts? Like obviously we're seeing here a nice bridge and some nice finished steps, but I imagine it gets into heaps more technical stuff on other.
Yeah, so for the 50K, there's a bit of up and down. The course has actually changed quite a bit for this year. So this would have been 2 years ago now, this course, not the recent UTA, the UTA before. So there's a fair bit of road running during the 50K, but I know the 100K can be pretty brutal. Apparently there's a lot of stairs. There are a lot of stairs. There's this really big section which actually closed for the year that I was there. Where it's literally like that. You got to crawl your way up these stairs, and it's And I went down some sections to take photos, and I was just like, yeah, no, too many stairs for me. Pretty brutal, but yeah, if you like stairs and ultra running, this is the one for you, UTA.
My quads just started pinging thinking about it. No, thanks.
Yep, it'll do that.
Oh, Specky. All right. Where's that?
So this is the West Max out in
Ah,
Alice Springs.
so dry. It looks dry.
Oh, it's always like that out there. It's oh, it does get rain, but yeah, every time I've been out there, it's just been bone dry. So this was my first ever ultra that I attended and photographed. So this is kind of where it all started for the West Max Monster. And yeah, it's kind of remained my favorite ultra ever. I don't know, there's just something about it, like 231 Ks of absolute hell. Like it's the gnarliest course you'll ever see. It's hot, it's like 40 degrees in the daytime. There's flies, there's cow shit, there's snakes, and you've literally just got to watch the ground the whole time. It's pretty brutal. So
Doesn't look like much of a trail. Like
yeah, there's a little bit of a trail, but it's super hard to see, especially like navigating in the night too.
oh my God.
Really difficult to do because like you've got to look for like these little blue triangles, and they're probably every few hundred meters apart, probably even like 500 meters apart. And if you miss one, you can end up a long way off track, which happens quite regularly with this race. So there's been quite a few people getting lost and doing like an extra 20K and then missing cutoffs. So pretty brutal.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, that's Mount Sonder where it starts at the back, that mountain way out the back there. So yeah, that's where they come from. There's a few different races though. You've got like the 231 and that is from my DSLR, that one, this shot. So I was up on Euro Ridge.
Yeah.
So I was just like sitting back, kind of waiting for people to come along this ridge and yeah, snap this one.
One's great. It's beautiful, but I think it also it gives you that idea of just the relentlessness of ultras, like that kind of undulating. Like you get to a peak, oh, another one. It just
Yeah,
because you got such distance back to Mount. Sorry, what's it in the background?
Mount Sonder.
Mount Sonder, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's like even driving to the start line, which usually it's better to camp out there the night before it starts. But driving from Alice to Mount Sonder at the start in the morning, it takes like 2.5 hours to get to the start line from Alice Springs. It's such a mission. And then that's not even bad because people have to run back from Mount Sonder to Alice Springs. And there's a 60-hour cutoff. So it's like absolutely hectic. And not many people finish. There's probably like 5 finishes a year. And they finish literally on the 59th hour and pushing it right up to the 60th hour. That's just how insane it is. But this year or last year, Simon Duke actually absolutely annihilated the course record by at least 12 hours. So yeah, it's I think he did it under 40 hours. It was pretty insane to see.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry, Hill. I'm not sure when that question was asked. Is this a drone or a camera shot? Yeah, you're sitting for that one. Hey, Carl, you're on.
Yeah. I was just sitting there under. So it was probably like 40 degrees there, and there's these little trees, that the best thing for shade, and it's pretty horrible. There's not much shade out there.
Yeah, like what are you doing to? Like must be full on for you just out there sitting.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, I love it. It's just so beautiful out there that I don't really mind that I have to wait. But there was one instance, the last time I shot this race where I went out to get this really good view of Mount Sonder and the runners coming past. And for some reason I got there 4 hours early. So I really messed up my timing with the athletes coming past. And yeah, I was sitting out in the middle of this big Spinifex plain waiting for the runners to come past, and I was there for 4 hours. and I was absolutely cooked. I had no food, no water, and I had to hike in, and I didn't want to leave this location because it was such a good spot to get these photos. But I didn't leave, and everyone came past, and I got back to my car and I drank a lot of water. I was pretty cooked, just waiting. But that happens. Yeah.
That's extreme photography.
Yep. You got to wait to get the shot, or you just fix your timing up, which I should do more often. Yeah.
Wow, that's that's specky. Do you know what kind of rock that is in this little outcrop here in the front? What's
There's a lot of granite kind of, I'm not too sure, like schneith. I couldn't tell you the actual name, but it's quite common. It's a lot of iron in all this rock here. Hence its red color, and all the soil's just absolutely iron rich and red. So it's got some type of iron in it. And there's just these massive big seams that run all the way west. And especially if you're like driving along that road out to Mount Sonder, you see there's just big, like from the air, they look like caterpillars, like literally these big, like wavy kind of things in the ground. And it's just literally the most, I don't know, I've got so much FOMO for this country out in Alice. It's just, it's spectacular. Like if you ever want to run a ultra, like you don't have to do the 231k, you can do a 65 or a 128 or even a 27. It'll blow your mind. Like you don't want to finish it quickly, you want to just embrace it. It's just a country just so special.
Oh man, I'd love to. I've actually been out to a place called Watch, which is a couple of 100 k's out of Alice, and I've never, like the contrast, it must be a photographer's dream, the contrast between the beautiful greens from the grasses and the shrubs, but then the red earth and the blue sky. Like it sounds corny, but it's just, man, there's nothing like it.
Oh, it's amazing. It's I don't know, just I get shivers like flying over that country and seeing it from a bird's eye view. It's I don't know, the
Awesome.
beating heart of Australia. It's just so amazing.
Yep. Actually,
literally words can't describe.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe photos can, but
no, absolutely. Cool. So Hills Googled, it's a combination of limestone, granite, sandstone, and silicon. Wow, that's along the Larapinta with iconic peaks and gorges of red quartzite.
There you go.
Fascinating.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh man, that's the end of our snaps. Wow.
I should have put up some more.
I know. I could. How are we going? Oh crikey! Time's nearly up. Yeah, man. I could. They're just sensational, Cal. I could do this all day, but
No. Sorry, I've only just like started scraping the surface of my taking photos of ultras. So hopefully down the track there's going to be a lot more. Hopefully a few things on the cards. Nothing set in stone at the moment, but hopefully I get to experience some ultras this year that I haven't really done before. So I'll see what I can create, and it should be a good little adventure along the way.
Awesome. Yeah, we haven't even started our repeat guest series, so that we'll have to bring you back for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, so how are we going? Okay, it's about 10 to. We should wind up in a little bit, but you answered a little bit there. But I was going to ask, what do you got planned for the year? What's going
on? As a freelance, it's all over the place. So there's nothing really set in stone. I know that I'm going to go down to Warburton and cover the trail run down there, the Warburton Trail Fest. So that's meant to be pretty special. That's just outside of Melbourne. That's Hillary's country pretty much. So going to be getting down, taking some photos of that one. I got to drive down for that one. So that's going to be a mission. So that'll be fun. I've got that. And then hopefully...
What's that, like 15 hours, 16 hours?
Yeah, something like that. It's crazy. It's a bit of a mission. But it's going to be fun. There'll be a lot of good scenes along the way. So I've got that. I'm literally just waiting to hear back from people to shoot ultras this year. So, but as my year usually goes, it's kind of, as something comes up, I take it and then I do whatever the thing is. So it's usually all over the place, but I do hope to do a few more ultras this year that I haven't done before. So I wouldn't mind getting up to WA. Wouldn't mind getting back to the Red Centre. That's kind of back on the list, and getting down to Tassie. That would be pretty special to hopefully get down there for Takana Trail. That would be pretty amazing. But yeah, just going with the flow and see where it goes.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, feel free to not answer this question, but how, like, as a freelancer, and like you are describing an absolute crapload of travel, obviously your aim is to cover travel costs, but are you like, what's the go? Like, if you don't get funding, do you just cover the travel anyway and go and, like, how do you manage that stuff?
Usually I probably won't go to a race and cover it if I don't get the travel stuff paid for.
Fair enough.
Because Australia is a pretty big country and prices at the moment are pretty much through the roof going anywhere. So I've got to just be wary of when my next job is, and just need to balance the accounts and make sure I'm not spending too much and just being wise with my money, because that's unfortunately how it is when you're a freelance. So but yeah, it's just pretty much but if there's an opportunity that really speaks to you, you know, you take those things and you run with it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we probably should wind up soonish, but I'll just give a last opportunity. If there's any questions anyone has for Calumn, speak now. No worries if not.
I have a question. I guess it's what you do when you're capturing, especially an ultra, you got to be like super fit, or because not only like when you're on the camp, not only were you running with us, but you're carrying a camera, which are like a couple kilos worth. But how have you, like, over the past few years, have you had injury, or how do you kind of manage your own love of running and then trying to not get injured, or because you don't want to not be able to keep up or cover an event because you've twisted your ankle, or something more severe? Like, how do you kind of find that balance, especially when your calendar is so unpredictable with what's coming up, and you could be called up next week to do an event, and you might be nursing an injury. How do you find that?
Yeah, well, touch wood, I'm pretty good with injuries, even though I did have an Achilles scare last week, but that came good in 2 days, so that was all good. But pretty much, yeah, I'm usually injury free and all that sort of stuff. So even if I did have a niggle or something and an opportunity came up, I'd be like, nah, screw it, I'll be fine. I'll bandage it up and I'll hobble out onto the course and take it. But yeah, it's not, there's a bit of a balance between my life of running and taking photos and all that sort of stuff. So I'm usually pretty careful. But with ultras these days, there's a lot of very easily accessible places to take photos from. So apart from God Zone, which was an absolute nightmare, navigating 7 days worth of wilderness to get, and nearly getting car stuck and all that sort of stuff. There's situations like that, but at the same time, like, I'm not doing these massive, 20K hike-ins or anything like that. So it's not too bad on the body.
And for those events, like, do you do a recce, like, in terms of knowing the good spots to take photos, or do the race directors usually like give you a heads up? And like, how do you, pick the spots that are worth going to when, you only have so much time to capture the runners out on course?
Yeah, most of the time I haven't been to any of the courses. So pretty much, all the courses I've been to, I've never been there prior to. So I'm pretty much just on Google Maps, just looking at all the locations and seeing all the accessible points where I can get in, and Googling photos, and even looking at galleries from previous years from what people have shot on those actual races. And then I kind of get an idea what the course will be like through that, and just piece it all together in my head and kind of make a plan. And not all those plans actually eventuate, because ultras can be all over the place, and like waiting for 4 hours for people to come by and all that sort of stuff. So things happen and you need to improvise a lot of the time. So you pretty much taking a photo, going to the next location, and then just doing that for 12 hours of that day. So yeah, it's It could be worse though. It is quite fun.
And like, is your brief, like, I'm just interested to know, because often you see a lot of like the photos of the leaders, you know, like the athletes, but then often it's like the back of the packers that are, you know, the more, you know, entertaining in the sense that they're really slogging it out. Like, do you find your brief is generally like you got to follow the leaders into the front of the pack, or can you kind of, you know, look for opportunities where you're catching like, you know, the everyday ultra runners as opposed to those that are like doing 4-minute Ks on a 50K?
Yeah, so it's anyone pretty much. And photographing anyone doesn't have to be the leaders. Usually you get back to the finish line to capture the winners coming over the line, and then you get back out to the course. But pretty much like most briefs, you're capturing the most unique landscapes, and yeah, so it could be any runner that comes past, you're capturing them. So that's quite cool. It doesn't have to be the elites or anything like that, just be anyone really. So that's and like the West Max monster, the first time I shot that, I spent a lot of time at some of the aid stations because they were absolutely brutal what the course out there does to you. So I was getting a lot of like, yeah, really emotional stuff. People like with back pains and blisters and spin effects stuck in their leg and all that sort of stuff. So the real gnarly stuff. It's quite one of my favorite things to do. Capture all the gritty stuff.
Yeah, Elise's question, like, what are you most trying to capture? Is it the overall landscape, or that kind of the emotion and the movement and those pretty moments? It's
a balance. I like to capture really nice landscape shots, but I do prefer to capture the moments of someone suffering. So I don't know, they're just more emotion.
You're like that person that's like, yes, this person's like, you know, staggering along, and you know, they've probably, I still remember that scene from Lucy's when she did the Larapinta, and she's like covered in dust, and looking back at it, she's like, I can't believe they didn't tell me I was covered in, you know, red dirt. But from the photographer's perspective, that's the gold. Like.
That's the stuff that you want. Yeah, I know, that's the good stuff.
So funny. Awesome. And what would your what's on your dream list of if you could shoot any event in the world, what would it be? I'll go back to West Max.
Really good question. I would love to start shooting ultras in New Zealand. That's like something I'm aiming to do, but that's just a whole another ball game getting over to New Zealand. And so that's kind of on the list to do that, because there's some pretty special things that go through the mountains over there.
There's that big one. It's not called Coast to Coast, but whatever that one that's coming up. It's like kind of like God Zone. It's like multi.
Oh, the Revenant, I think. There's a Revenant in Northburn 100. Yeah, there's so many big ones happening over in New Zealand, and there's a Kepler Challenge at the end of the year. So, I don't know. That's kind of on the list, is, you know, of me to pester people in New Zealand and get them to have me over to take photos. But, you know, I would love to get back out to the Red Centre and capture some stuff, and back down to Tassie. That's kind of on the short-term stuff,
And we'll see you up in the Pilliga in September as well. That would be that's a pretty as far as like inaccessible rugged landscapes, it doesn't get much better than the Pilliga.
Nice.
So no, you'll have your work cut out for you there.
Yep. I won't be waiting for 4 hours though for someone to come past. Or
we'll do a better job at hopefully getting you to where you need to be. But it's surprisingly rugged out there for
nice.
You know, for what it's worth.
Yeah, no, definitely keen to get out there in September.
Nice. Well, look, folks, we might finish it there. Great way to end with a plug for the Pilliga Ultra, brought to you by For Wild Places. Just keep that on your calendar, folks, September, and keep an eye out on our socials. Cal, massive thanks for joining us. The words were fascinating, and those photos sensational. I can't wait to share this chat around so people can experience those photos like we did. Thanks so much for joining us, mate.
Thank you very much. It's been an honour. And see you out in Pilliga.
Absolutely. And thanks everyone else for joining in. Thanks for the questions. Really appreciate you supporting these chats. Thanks also to Smart Wool for supporting these chats. If you are interested in finding out more about for Wild Places. This is my IO Merino for Wild Places T edition. Check out, what am I saying? forwildplaces.com and check out our membership options. We'd love to have more people part of the team to help us get the word out there more. So without further ado, thanks again to Calumn. Thanks for joining us. Stay safe, everyone. All the best for 2024 and hopefully see you again on one of these chats in the future. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.